All right, so what's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the DenofTruth. It's your boy Tino. So today we got the homie with us, man. We got someone who's been just killing it for a long period of time, 10 years plus.
Stop gassing me up, please.
I gotta gas everyone up. 10 years plus in Sydney culture, 10 years plus creating, 10 years plus. And you know what I like about this guest is that, he's been put in a position to help others. And instead of being a gatekeeper, he's always giving people a platform or giving people an opportunity to, at least get an opportunity or give them advice or try to put them in the right direction. So today we got Kase. Kase, what's up, man?
It's good, Tino, man. Thanks for having me, bro. This is amazing.
Yeah,
You're amazing. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So before I came in, I had all those memories, reminiscing of the times that you were back in Crown Street.
Crazy.
Reminiscing of the times when you used to just roll up to the store. You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy, dude? We're getting straight into that.
Yeah, we're getting straight.
I was thinking, when I was thinking about the podcast, I was thinking the first time I met you, I didn't know shit. I didn't know shit about shit. And I remember, like I went into the Capsule store, and we're gonna get more into this as we get deeper.
Yeah,
I went to the Capsule store,
yeah.
and then I don't think you remember this. I went to the Capsule store. I wanted to buy these shoes. I completely forgot what they were, but they were like $450.
Yeah.
They were just a bag.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, Kase, I want to get size this and this and this. And you looked at me and you were like, bruh, like, get your basics right. You're not gonna buy that. Get your basics right. Yeah. And I was like, from that day on, I was like, this guy's real. This guy's real. He kept me. So Kase, man, how you been, man? How's everything?
Man, I'm very overwhelmed in the past couple of months. This whole year actually has been pretty crazy. I mean, everyone's going through it, you know what I mean? That whole kind of Corona thing. The start of the year was just pretty intense. We had all those bushfires, particularly. We had Kobe dying. I'm really big into basketball.
Me too.
And that energy you get from 2019. 2019 for me was, I try to keep positive. And then to have such a bummer start to the year, it was one of those things that I had to do something. I just had to do something in terms of a project. Mm-hmm. I had to just release something to get my mind straight. Mm-hmm. It was like a therapy kind of thing. And I hate pondering on like negative things, and it was just trying to do something positive out of all this craziness.
Yeah.
And so I all of us were in that lockdown kind of period or in quarantine, and I started on like a music project, creating beats, and it was just trying to get something up tempo, something to get people up. You know what I mean? Something to just like get people going,
get the spirits up.
Yeah, totally. Because man, it was a downer period. People's weddings were cancelled. You know what I mean? Like people's holiday trips were cancelled. Things were just like put on pause. NBA season was cancelled. People like sports was life for some people. You know what I mean? And when that gets taken away from you, what do you do? It's really easy to get into a hole. So I was showing people like, look, we could still kind of keep going. I'm going to still make music. And yeah, a project came out of it, which was Minerva. It's been out for the past 3 weeks now on Low Key Source. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the vibe I'm getting and the love I'm getting is overwhelming, man. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I listened to the album, because I'm a basketball fan, so I'm very, very biased. So my favorite songs were Zach Levine.
Yeah.
I like Thanos because I like that Kanye sample.
Yeah.
I like that. But more so, like, I just felt like it was very get up music.
Yeah.
I felt like it was very spirit music. Yeah. It came at a period. I think it came at the right timing. Like the timing was good, and most importantly, it's just dope from top down. Like,
thanks, man.
Yeah. So when I was listening to it, like, I was listening to the sequencing of the album. I was listening to sort of the ordering of the tracks and where you put certain tracks, and I was just like, all right, so this Kase's on some shit right now.
Yeah.
Kase's on his that.
It's for me, beats and music. I treat it as like therapy, man. You know what I mean? Like it's something that I do when I get up, wake up. It's almost like a workout session. I jump into the studio. I have to make something, once a day. You know what I mean? So that do your 10,000 hours. Yeah. It's something that I love and I'm like really passionate about. And I do it for me, no one else. And then it was also this whole thing about, back in the day, it was hard to release things because I have all these self anxieties, man. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, is people gonna like it? You know, oh, you know, I sampled that. Or, you know, people gonna get angry if I sampled that. You know, I was really self conscious and aware of like what people were thinking. But then that kind of barrier I crumbled that barrier a long time ago, man. It was one of those things like, who cares? You know, if I like it, if I'm passionate about it, I think people will see and people will notice.
Yeah.
And you know, like in your mind, you just kind of like build things up bigger than what it is.
Yeah. No, I
We
feel
do that a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I
yeah.
think it's like a human nature. We just like, we like to, I don't know, some of us like to think worst case scenario sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's usually never the case. You know, and so I think I get that from my experiences in life, within my health problems.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you know things can get taken away from you in a matter of moments. You know what I mean? In seconds.
Yeah. So talk about that, man. Talk about it a little bit, because I know, you know, was it a lung transplant or
No,
was it
it's a kidney transplant.
Yeah. So how old are you when that happened?
I was diagnosed with kidney disease when I was 18. So. Straight out of high school, went into uni. I did industrial design at UWS. Shout out UWS.
Yeah. Western Sydney University now. Put some respect on that.
Massive rebrand.
Yeah.
So I did industrial design, and during that first year, I was starting to feel all these different symptoms. And there were crazy symptoms, man. Like, I'd just be really tired during the day. I'd get like weird like pins and needles around my body. It was like something just wasn't right.
Yeah.
And then, so I went into the doctor, got a blood test, and they were like, dude, your kidneys are done. And I was like, whoa, you know, like I went in there thinking it was diabetes. You know what I mean? You know, I was like, oh, man, I got diabetes for sure. You know? They were like, no, you don't have diabetes, but you got kidney disease. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, you know,
I
thought diabetes was the worst thing, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like a couple of hours later, I'm in hospital. They're putting me on like crazy drips, and they were like, you know, you need to go on a dialysis machine. And it's pretty much like two big needles that filter your blood that goes through a machine. It's like the machine does the kidneys work for you.
Yeah.
So I was on that for 2 years, and it was like 3 hours per week, 6-hour sessions. So there was a lot of like sitting down in a chair, like watching TV. But that's when I started actually making music. Like, I had a laptop and I was making beats on GarageBand. I was like 18, man. It was first year uni.
Yeah.
And I just started falling in love with it. It was trying to get me through those really tough times, you know, like, but when I look back at it, it was one of those things I just got to get through it. I wasn't pondering, oh man, I'm in this really crazy situation. And it was just one of those things I just got to get through it. I have to stay positive. The craziest thing is I hate people worrying about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hate my mom and dad worrying about me. I hate my friends worrying about me, you know, like, I'm just like, dude, I'm good. You know, like, I need to stay positive. And I think that's how I've kind of, my work ethic has come about. You know, I just have to keep going, gotta keep, you know, like, just gotta keep going. You know,
keep moving forward. I mean, I got a sense of that, especially within the album. You got a song called Ride With Me. You know, but for people who don't know, Ride is a particular area. So you word it as a Ride With Me. So I could obviously tell that, you know, your upbringing in your area, or the area that you were raised, had a really important influence on, you know, the type of music that you put out now. So talk about what was your childhood like, and, you know, what sort of influences did you have around
I've been in Ryde my whole life. So my family immigrated to Australia when 1988, so I was like 2 years old. And we've been in Meadowbank / West Ryde since that whole entire time. And we've watched that kind of suburb kind of develop over the years. You know, it was, you know, strictly middle class kind of white suburban area at the start, but now it's changed and developed into this kind of like Korean, Chinese, Filipino.
It's a bit bougie.
Yeah, well, I don't know
now.
if it's bougie, but I mean, you know, it's developed a lot over time, and then from that stemmed a lot of different kind of cultures. You know what I mean? You had your Lebanese families, you had, you know, Italians, Australian families, man. You know, like, and it was just a good kind of melting pot. I went to a high school, it was called St. Pat's Dundas.
Dundas, yeah. I know.
And you know, like, I was one of 4 Filipinos in my year. So
crazy.
It's crazy when I think about like down at the West, you know, it's majority like Filipinos, Islander kids, you know, like African kids. It's like a crazy hub. I mean, I grew up, it was like, I was legitimately the minority. But in saying that, it was always, you know, I've never felt, you know, this whole kind of, I mean, you know, there's always racism around, but I've always felt Ryde was supportive of all of us. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we always had like different things going on in Ryde. There was always different pockets of people. You know, you had your typical, you know, fights and all this kind of stuff at Eastwood Station, and, you know, shouts out Eastwood.
Shout out Eastwood.
You know what I mean? Like and it was always just like all these different cultures and popped up, and there was always talent from that. You know, you had your dancers, you had your break dancers, you know, you had your graph writers. Everyone had like all these different skills and, you know, music, I guess, you know, some people doing music. But the thing that I think Ryde is pretty much known for is like the art game, you know, like there's a lot of like artists that come out from Ryde. You know, you had your Yee boys, you know, Andy Yee, Chris Yee, you know, like those kids, you know, we all grew up in Ryde. You know, they went to Epping Boys, and it was just one of those things that like, oh, cool, like there's actually people doing stuff from Ryde. You know, like,
some cool people doing some cool stuff.
And like, and it's now people like the actual council's noticing. So last night I did this thing called Dance Plaza, which was pretty much like an online platform where people showed off the different creative skills through music, through dance, all that kind of thing. And it's always good to support the local community, man. Just, you know, keep kids aware, you know, like, it would be cool to see, like, if I was a young kid and saw, you know, like a DJ or a producer doing things that was repping from my area, I'd be like, whoa.
Sorry, but how does that feel? How does that make you feel? I mean, you're coming from being raised young, you know, immigrant boy, being raised in Ryde, and now you're doing stuff for the council, and now you're actually,
it's crazy, man.
It's all come full circle.
It's unbelievable. It's overwhelming, man. You know, like when you get hit up, but to do things for the council, you know, it's like. It's pretty overwhelming, you know, like, but I try to keep things humble about it, you know, I don't try to think like, oh, this is amazing, you know, like, I try to keep pretty level-headed, and I just want to keep it's moving forward, you know, keep that same energy, you know what I mean?
Keep that same energy,
and like, handing that baton to someone else, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I kind of get the joy, you know? Like,
I mean, and I think that's what people appreciate, because on the other hand, you definitely got you know, not gatekeepers, but you definitely have people who don't have the same mentality as you, you know, and then you have people like yourself who are just completely open to just giving other people an opportunity, because you understand where it's come from.
It's totally right, man. Because if I didn't have those mentors in my life, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be in my position now. So I always feel important that I have to kind of like guide people as well. And I don't use it as like you know, as a weird Pied Piper kind of vibe, man. Like, oh, come follow me, kids, do this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like to force that. You know what I mean? Because that's sometimes agendas kind of like get skewed in that sense. You know what I mean? Like people like, yo, why you know, like, I don't do it for myself, man. I do it because I want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me happy. I like seeing guys like you grow, man. You know, like, it's such an honor to see, like, seeing you come into the store, and when you say you didn't know shit, to being in a crazy studio like this, having a chat with me, like, I'm like, I'm like really proud. You know what I mean? Like a proud big brother. Like, the thing is, I'm the youngest kid in my family. And I've always wanted a little brother. You know what I mean?
The little brothers.
So that's how I kind of treated all these, like, you guys, like, treat Stan, you know, all my different homies. You know what I mean? Like, I treat them like all my younger brothers. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, you do anything for them kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Like, and every time you see them grow, it's just like you grow. You're like, oh man, that's amazing.
It's growing. I mean? The whole concept is starting to. So you know, it's crazy. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about, like, you know, back in those days when, you know, and talk about myself a little while. I remember, because actually I was hanging out with Stanley, and I was like 17, 18, and then Stanley was the one who was like, yo, if you're not doing anything after work, let's go down to Capsule. Now, for people who don't know what Capsule is, I really want to break it down. This is maybe like 45 years. How long do you reckon?
Man,
5 years?
Oh, she's 2012, I think.
2012, 2012.
8 years.
Yeah, so in my opinion, and I reckon Capsule at that time was sort of the center point of a lot of streetwear and a lot of culture in Sydney. You know, you had all the different types of brands that people are interested in, and more so than that, it was just a community spot.
That's right.
I think it was just a spot where people came together and just swapped ideas. You know what I mean? And people came together, connected. You might come to the spot. You might meet someone who's, you know, owns a venue, or, you know, meet someone who's starting a brand, and then you guys meet, and then James or yourself would be like, yo, this is him, this is he. Come together. So at that time, Stanley told me to come down, and then that's when I met James and yourself. And I remember even just from that period of time, for myself, I just learned a lot. I just learned a lot about, you know, what's going on in regards to Sydney. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, man, because I was introduced to a lot of people who now they're in different positions. Like
Yeah,
I look back at the time, I was talking to Rick, and he was telling me, "Yo, I remember when you were 17 and you were hanging out at Capsule, and then you and James used to take me to these parties with grown ass people."
Yeah.
You know,
I remember we went to a gig in the Passage. Remember that?
Yeah. I remember that.
I remember seeing you guys vividly. Your minds were blown. You're like, "This is crazy." Like,
yeah.
You know, and it's like, man, shouts out to Nick Denton. Like, I've been really fortunate in my life to have amazing mentors, you know, like from all the different career paths that I've taken. So straight out of uni, I, you know, hooked up with Nick Denton in terms of a professional, pause.
Pause.
And, you know, he brought me in, bro, and he, you know, we were working at a little store in Darlinghurst called Freshen.
Yeah.
And this is before the days when e-commerce was big, man. Like, no one was doing e-commerce. No one was doing any online ordering or whatsoever. It was strictly brick and mortar. Nick was one of the first streetwear online stores in Australia, and it was called Freshen. And he was importing goods from the US, from Japan, you know, all these different kind of streetwear brands. And he was one of the first to bring Obey into the country.
Okay,
so, you know, at that kind of level.
People need to know this information, man. People got to know this history. So you got to break it down for them so they know. Yeah.
So that back in those days, you know, when you guys think about Supreme, when you guys think about Awake, you know, you think about Supply Store. Back in those days, Supply was still around, you know what I mean? There was like a little pocket in Darlinghurst. You had, you know, Footage Store, you had Another Inch, you had Carhartt, you had Freshen. It was like, and you had Sneakerology. You had all this, like, you know, the streetwear hub was in Darlinghurst.
Wasn't Half Sleeve around there?
Where, sorry?
Half Sleeve?
Half Sleeve was there. So
Half
that was
Sleeve,
like after we opened up as well. So shout out Tech, you know, like all those guys kind of stemmed from that kind of Surrey Hills, Darlinghurst area.
Yeah.
And then, man, it was crazy because I was working at that store, you know, doing 3 days a week, doing the whole retail grind, you know, learning on the fly, you know, like I had no idea, you know, like, and a rep from Westfield came to me and was like, yeah, this is a nice store, you know, it was a really boutique store, hidden away, tucked away on that kind of New York secret vibe, you know, and he was like, yo, do you reckon you guys could open a shop in Westfield in the Centrepoint Tower? And I was like,
what?
Well, you're like, what are you talking about, man? We're only open 3 days a week. You know? And I remember, you know, he left his email address, he left his business card, and I, you know, approached Nick, and I was like, yo, Nick, homeboy from Westfield came around, wants us to open shop in the new Westfield. How crazy, right? And he was like, yo, I reckon we can do it. And I was like, you know, I was out of uni, I was like fresh faced, man, you know, had full of energy. And he was like, yo, if you're down, and like we had a small team. I had my homeboy Wes, I had my homeboy James, it was Tristan, all these kind of like OG cats, you know. Shouts out Leeway as well. We were like, you know, let's go all in. You know, if we were gonna do this, Nick borrowed a lot of money, you know what I mean? Like it was one of those things like, yeah, no, let's do it. Let's do it. You know, if we're gonna go in, let's all go in. We all went in. It was the best move that we've ever done. You know, it was one of those things that life changing.
Yeah.
Westfield became that hub. I mean, you know, it's a dream to have your own kind of store. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
And you know, be able to do your own buys. You know, be able to meet the brands that you love. You know, you had full control of it all. You know, and you'd be able to meet all the new people that come into your store. You'd be able to chop it up. Meet people like you. You know, meet brand managers, meet like musicians, meet like celebrities. They'd come through the store, man. You just kick it with them.
Yeah.
And it was one of those spots where it was like, you know, like you said, it was like a community, you know. And this was before like Instagram was around, man. This is before when everyone was flexing, you know what I mean? And I guess times changed, you know what I mean? Like you started getting kids coming in, showing off all their sneakers, like, yo, you know, like, but back in those days, man, like kids were open to just listening. You know, they were just like listening to new music that we did. We used to do events at the Burdekin on Oxford Street. Just good times, man. You know, it was just like you said, it was just like a community.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm just really fortunate to be able to experience that because that's legitimately a life-changing moment for me was when we opened up Capsule. Yeah. All those connections. I wouldn't be here now if it wasn't for Capsule. Yeah.
I guess it's crazy experience, man, because I have so many good memories from being around that space, man. Like you said, it changed your life.
Yeah.
If I could track back to my life, I think that was probably the time where like my life, you know, changed the most. So you know, shout out to everyone. Shout out yourself. Shout out James. Shout out Nick.
Get
Shout
some
out
air horns,
Stanley.
like,
That's the one thing that I'm missing on the podcast.
Yeah,
I need
man,
some
just like
air
air
horns. I
horns,
need
air
some
horns.
celebratory things. Yeah. So look, I want to get back to what you were talking about your kidney transplant and when you talk about the music. So at that time, what sort of role did music play?
It was literally like therapy, man.
Yeah.
So, I've always had this kind of mantra, like this whole philosophy thing that I think it stems from like a Buddhist teaching, like nothing is permanent. So when I had all those kidney problems, I always thought like, all right, this is not going to last forever. Something's gonna come, like something's gonna get fixed or whatever it is. And that even comes with the good times, so I've always kept a steady kind of head, you know what I mean? In terms of like, I can't be always too high, because it could come crumbling down at any moment.
Yeah.
But then in those moments, that won't last long too. Nothing is permanent,
Yeah.
So that kind of mentality just kind of like, just keeps me going, and that music has always been there for me. So the disease I have is called IgA nephropathy, which is essentially your immune system attacking your kidneys.
Yeah.
So, man, it's like I'm attacking myself. You know what I mean? It's crazy when you think about it. When you get the whole perspective, it's like, shit, like I'm the one who's,
Yeah, you got beef with yourself, man.
Kidneys.
Yeah.
Beef with myself, exactly. But, I'm saying that I can't ponder on it too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's to a point. I was fortunate enough to get a kidney transplant. My brother, Levi, shouts out Levi, gave me his kidney. And I've had his kidney now for the past 13 years. I think it's 13 years. Yeah, something along those lines. A long time. But in saying that, you don't transplant your immune system. You transplant a new kidney, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this disease that I have is still in me. It's, so it's attacking the new kidney.
Yeah.
So then, this where I am now in this situation is probably not going to last too long too. So I'm going to have a new kidney in a couple of years' time. We don't know because it's one of those diseases you don't know how it affects you. Yeah. So I'm getting monitored every 3 months or so from my doctors, and I've got one of the best doctors in Sydney. Shouts out Dr. Chad Ban.
Yeah. shout out our guy if he's watching. That's our guy.
But in saying that, like I'm on almost like a time limit.
Yeah.
So that's why I go hard with everything I do. Like I don't ponder on any ideas. If I have an idea, man, I go for it. Yeah. Because you can easily have the best idea, and like I hate it when I'm like, oh man, I had that idea, and someone else has done it. Yeah. You're like, damn, it's happened to me so many times. Yeah. So I'm like, man, I can't do that anymore. I got to keep going. Any idea I have, I got to go for it. Yeah. So then, I'll go hard on a project. When it's music related, I'm like, okay, cool. I know what I want, 16 tracks. I know the vibe that I'm going for. I need to get the artwork sorted. I know the music video that I want to do. I want to, go through this label. I want to do a distro like this. Yeah. And so, that's how it kind of stems, man. You know, so all that kind of stuff that I have with the kidney has kind of stemmed on how I work.
Yeah, and that's affecting you. Yeah. So what was the sort of creative process in the new album? Because, you saying that, obviously now with everything changing, your mindset is 100% focused on living in the present, going hard as hard as you can, especially when it comes to the music. Yeah. So talk about like, Minerva, the album, and what was sort of the creative process? Like what were you thinking when you created the album and what inspired you to get into it?
Pretty much the whole COVID situation, man, being in that quarantine situation. Yeah. I was, again, fortunate, blessed that I work a 9 to 5 too. Yeah. I'm a digital designer for IKEA Australia, working for e-commerce. And I was fortunate that I still had a job during this whole entire time. Yeah. But there's moments where you're like, you do your work, and then what do you do after it? You can't go out, you can't meet out with the homies. You know what I mean? Like you try to do Zoom calls.
That ain't work.
That ain't work. You know what I mean? It was so hard. So I was trying to connect. I was trying to create this energy to connect with all my homies. Essentially, that's what Minerva is all about. I mean, the name Minerva is like a Roman goddess for wisdom, medicine, all that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's like a very beautiful name, but it's also like very serious, very regal. I always mention the word regal, and Marika, my partner, always laughs at me. She's like, well, you don't even know what regal means. But you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it was just like, I just had this whole concept, like, life can get taken away straight away from us. Yeah. But we got to keep moving, man. We got to keep positive. There's no point in being, down and out.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was the whole concept of it all.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Because I'm just trying to get in sort of in the mindset that you're thinking of, and trying to get in the mindset you're talking of. You know, living sort of in the present, living like every day is your last.
Yeah.
I think that if people sort of had that mindset in the majority of the things that they would do, they wouldn't have those sort of insecurities when it
That's
comes
right,
to rolling
man.
out shit.
Yeah, man. Like I get it. You know, like I get people have social anxieties. I get people have. Man, look, you know, there's depression is real. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
people go through emotions, and it's all serious stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm not one to like go, you know, get over it. You know, like, you know,
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah.
get out of it. You know, but I'm gonna try, and I hope when you see me do my thing, like you're like, oh yeah, we can get through it all. You know, like that's how I kind of have that mentality.
motivated. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sort of. I think I'm sort of. I think a lot of people are sort of have the same mindset as you, but I think it's just more that fearlessness. You know, how many people you know in Sydney that are putting out albums?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, like projects.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
actual projects. How
Yeah.
many people do you know?
No, that's a good question, bro.
Not many.
Not
like
many, yeah,
not many. There's not too many
Not
people
many,
who are
not
actually
many.
putting out some actual thought provoking projects.
But
putting them
there's no
together.
problems with going the singles route, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's no problem at all going the single route. I mean, I have different agendas when it comes to music. You know, it's not about streams. It's not about the money. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
said, I've got a career outside of music
Yeah.
that I'm passionate about too, and I'm happy about.
Yeah.
And it's more like, you know, helping build that community.
Yeah.
You know, like helping, you know, the next guy grow, passing that baton. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
working with young producers, jamming with them,
Mm-hmm.
giving them the same mindset that I have. Like, man, look, don't worry about other people. Just do your thing. You know, don't make actions out of spitefulness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just do your thing. Stay positive, man. The passion and the integrity will show.
Yeah.
You know, it's like being genuine to your craft.
Yeah.
That's why you don't hear me making trap beats or anything like that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, I stay with my boom bap, hip hop kind of, you know, soulful inspired kind of stuff. You know, it's easy to jump on a trend. You know, it's easy to jump on a TikTok trend, easy to jump on an Instagram, you know, like, oh, you know, like, you know, Travis Scott's doing a trap beat, man. No, I got to make a trap beat, you know, like,
Yeah.
but, you know, if you're really into it, go for it by all means, you know what I mean? But don't turn around and do something 360 later on and be like, yo, you know, like, people will see through it.
I wish I had an air horn right now, man. I wish I had an air horn for that shit. Hopefully people got that information, because that is pretty much, you know, and it's funny that you say that, because I've had the same conversation with so many people who've had the longevity.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's consistency, man.
it's just consistency and being
yeah.
genuine to yourself.
That's it.
And I don't think, you know, I definitely haven't been in this journey long enough to actually say that, but like, I've definitely noticed that, you know, everyone keeps talking about consistency. Everyone talks about, you know, you being
Real.
genuine to, you know, like, you know, to what you like, just staying in your own
Exactly.
lane in a
Exactly.
sense.
I mean, people, man, like, people see through all of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
It's easy to pick out the fake ones.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Easy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know how it is, bro. Like, I get it, man. People got to get that paper.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people got to get their hustle on. You know, but that's not me. You
Yeah.
know, like, I've got my stuff straight. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. But for you to have that mentality, I feel like you gotta have like a large confidence in self.
yeah.
So
I
where
think
where do you think you got that confidence in self?
I think it's the mentors that I had, man. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They showed me the way. So, you know, when I was in Capsule, I had Nick, I had all my homies, I had James, you know what I mean? Like, I had guys like Miguel, like, all those guys was level-headed, you know? Like, there was never about, you know, showing off or being extravagant, man. It was
Yeah.
always like, you know, keep this about the passion. We didn't care how much we got paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was about, you know, bringing the best streetwear we could into Sydney.
Yeah.
And being able to connect with all the people. You know, that was the main agenda for us. Mm-hmm. And then when I stopped at Capsule, I went into the corporate world, and, you know, I started working in events and social media, and I started working at brands like Sony.
Yeah.
And then from there, I had an amazing mentor in Jamie Wong, who was like my manager there. Mm-hmm. And this guy, Jamie, man, I tell you what, like, he's the most hardest working person I've ever met in my life. You know, and he always stressed to me, always have for him, his work out some, like, it was crazy. His work was 24/7, and it didn't need to be. And he was going to me like, I don't want you to be like me. Have always a good work-life balance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, make
Yeah.
sure, you know, like, work-life balance is important. And I was at that stage, was like, okay, cool. Like, I need to start focusing on, like a career. You know, like, okay, cool, I've done all that design, I've done retail. What do I do now? Like I want to start getting into the corporate world. It was like, let's see what the corporate world's all about.
Yeah.
And Jamie was probably the best mentor I could ever ask for, and he was doing things that was almost detrimental to his life. Like he'd be like staying up until 3 a.m. doing projects, man. And like I'd be there going, and he was like, dude, don't stay back. I do this because I'm already in this position. But he was passionate about it, man. Like he would work 7 days a week, didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
It's
a beast.
He's a beast, yeah.
A
and then
beast,
after Sony Australia, man, I went to work with with Andrew, who was on this show
Don't,
before.
yeah, Andrew was just here.
Shouts out Andrew, man. Like that guy is another hardworking, like one of the hardest workers in Sydney.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He's a beast, like, for real. Like I was in a really good position at Sony, but then I saw what people were doing with all the events that they were doing, with Adidas, with Reebok, and I was like, yo, that looks amazing. So I was like, hit up Andrew, yo, Andrew, what do you reckon, man? Like, if you guys need another project manager on board, like let me get in. Mm-hmm. He took me up with open arms, man. And he was showing me like this is it, man. This is a grind, and it was a crazy grind, man. To the point where my health became almost obsolete. I was feeling it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, this is hard. We're doing events in like Gold Coast, and then we'd do events in Brisbane, and we'd come back to Sydney working on events. It was like non-stop, man. It was like crazy. But we were doing like world-class kind of events.
That's dope, though.
It was ridiculous, know? And it was to the point where I was like, shit, like it was like really overwhelming for me. Like, oh man, this might not be for me anymore because my health's taking a toll. And I spoke to Andrew and I was like, yo, Andrew, I don't know, man. Like, I'm really struggling from my health perspective. Like I'm going 150%, but my body is like, you know what I mean? Like,
it is what it is.
It's the opposite of that R. Kelly song, but like my mind's telling me, my body's saying yes.
Yeah.
It was the opposite. For real. Like it was like crazy. Like I couldn't get up. It was like, So I was like, I need to find something where my health is, number one priority, because without health, man, you ain't nothing, And then be able to find that balance. So like I found a gig with IKEA and, doing like e-commerce, digital design on that digital landscape and trying to refine my skills in that. Because for me, that's where the world's going in terms of digital solutions and e-commerce. We can get really tech and nerdy about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, break that down for us. Because people,
man.
People, for me and you understand, but people need to hear this information.
Yeah, I mean, look,
break
like,
that.
It's one of those things where, e-commerce is such a, digital is such a big thing for us nowadays. Like we can connect with anybody from around the world with a click of a button. We can buy anything from a click of a button. We don't even have to go anywhere anymore. And, companies know this. And it's just a matter of how people interact with those solutions on websites and whatnot. And that kind of intrigues me a lot. And I try to focus on, and like, the different marketing perspectives of it.
Yeah.
The different user experiences with it, the user journeys for people. I guess that's how, and learning all of those new things and putting it towards my own product has kind of been an advantage for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
let's take it to the next level.
Yeah. So all those kind of different skills that I've learned, I try to stem back to my own projects.
Yeah.
And then I hope to show the rest of the people, you know what I mean? Like show guys like you and other producers, you know what I mean? Like it's a marketing.
It's a marketing thing. Yeah.
Because like, having your own brand is cool. You could be the most talented, graphic designer or illustrator artist in the world, but you ain't going to do anything if you don't have a solid marketing plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I need to talk to you about that because that's something that I'm starting to learn, man. I'm starting to learn that.
Yeah, man.
And Andrew talked a little bit about this when he was here. He was like, you could be the prettiest person in the world, but like, what was the quote he said? Do you guys remember the quote that Andrew said?
No, Garrett's too busy eating, dog.
No, but he said, but basically he was saying that it's like whatever you can have the prettiest whatever is possible, but if it has no longevity or if you can't commercialize it, then what's the point of having it? Because it will eventually die.
Exactly.
So I'm 100% with you, but that being said, I want to put you on the spot.
Oh man,
right now I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Oh, let's get it.
What are your top 5 favorite artists of all time?
Oof. Jay Dilla, number 1. Number 2, Ninth Wonder. Number 3, Flying Lotus. Number 4 would be a punk band called At the Drive-In. Number 5 would be, man.
Any order is any order.
Oh, it's any order. Yeah,
Any
man,
order.
this is you're putting me on the spot. It'd be like someone like Curtis Mayfield or something like that.
Okay, why Jay Dilla? Because I see why you say Jay Dilla.
Jay
'Cause I can
Dilla,
see the
that's where I
influence.
got it all from, man. You know, like hearing about him and his health problems. You know, he died
Yeah.
from lupus, man.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
had kidney problems too.
Yeah,
So I relate 1-to-1 with him.
yeah,
And what he was doing is just a different, it's just not a different, it's like that sound that I aspire to. That's what everyone aspires to. All this kind of stuff that you hear now on the radio, like Soul Action, all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
That comes from Dilla. You know, the way he chops up the chords, the way he programs his drums, the swing he has, you know, his rap flows, the production. That's all stemmed from Jay Dilla.
Yeah.
Even the great ones know. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Q-Tip, your Tribe
They
Called
know.
Quest, they all know. It all comes back to Dilla.
Yo, real ones know, real ones
Real
know.
ones know. And that's
Yeah.
why he's always going to be number one to me, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like legit, I watch his videos on YouTube. I read all of the different articles about him. It's almost like the Bible to me. You know? Like,
Damn.
yeah.
Damn. It's interesting because I was hoping you say Jay Dilla.
It's almost, you know, like.
It's so
easy,
yeah.
you know,
You
it's
can
too
hear it.
easy.
It's so easy. And also, I also want to put you on the spot here as well.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
And I say this because throughout the album, one thing that I got was these basketball references are crazy. You know, if you watch basketball,
Oh, that's it.
I was listening it out. I was reading. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, these basketball references are crazy. Which NBA team do you go for?
Minnesota Timberwolves.
Oh, so you don't like winning?
No, man. It's been
what?
so depressing, bro.
You've had like a basketball
but-
depressing.
But what I've learned from the Minnesota Timberwolves, man,
Yeah.
you know, through thick and thin, I'm 100% down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't bandwagon. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I fuck with that.
I ain't gonna follow the Warriors when
Yeah.
they start winning. I'm not gonna follow the Lakers.
Yeah.
You know, like it's too easy.
It's but you know what?
But when the T-Wolves win, and I might be like 80 years old.
Yeah, but you know,
I'm gonna be, you know, you're gonna listen to this podcast when I was 35. I'm like, yo, this guy, you know, like
I said that.
Exactly.
I called that.
Exactly.
The thing about the Timberwolves, that
Man, here we go.
the little no. The thing
We're
about
gonna
the
turn into a sports podcast
yeah,
now. Too?
hey, we
Let's get
switched.
it.
This is the Denver. We're flexible, man. The thing about the Timberwolves that I always think that great teams.
Yeah.
Sorry, subpar teams or medium teams that let go of great players
Yeah.
will are never going to have longevity in the NBA.
Oh, no.
Because if you think about it, how many teams in the NBA have actually really won a championship? You got the Lakers, Sixers.
Yeah, you can count
There's
on
not
your
many.
hand.
There's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
6 of them, and they've won it over the last like 30, 40 years.
Yeah, Spurs.
Now, when you have prime KG
Yeah. And you fucked that up?
and you fuck that up, that says a lot about what's going
What
on
are you
in that
trying to
house.
do to me, man? You're trying to get...
Oh, my bad. I didn't know we were the point I was going to. Sorry,
Yeah,
before I went on hating on the Timberwolves. Well, who are your top 5 basketball players of all time?
KG, number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 would be Michael Jordan. Number 3 would be... Wow. Putting me on the spot for real. Clyde Drexler.
Okay.
I was a big Clyde fan.
Okay.
Number 4 would be Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay.
And then number 5, shit, man, damn. You're putting me right on the spot, dude. Someone who I really like would probably be like AI, Iverson, man.
I think that's a cold list.
Yeah.
No LeBron? No LeBron?
We can go another podcast with that.
Oh man, I know. I should really start doing like a DenofTruth sports podcast and just talking
man.
shit about
No, no.
sports,
But,
man.
that was the thing about Capsule too, because we used to always talk shit about sports, even Premier League. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like all those different kind of sports. We've just been going back and forth, man. I remember there was crazy arguments at the store.
It got physical.
It got-
man. shit gets
It got
physical
real.
when it
got
comes
real,
to
man. It got real. Yeah, but I'm an Arsenal supporter, and it's been pretty tough in the past couple of years.
You just don't like winning, man.
I know, dude. But when it comes to the point where we win, that's when we go hard.
Yeah, I'll text you whenever Minnesota win. I'm gonna text you, man. You got me. You got me. But on your new album, did you work with any other artists, or was it mostly just
Nah,
you?
this was just me, man. So this was a lot of it was because I wasn't allowed to go out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I
that was
forgot about that, yeah.
first and foremost I wasn't allowed to go out, but I do have a couple of remixes coming out with other artists and rappers who are jumping on board on some of those beats.
Can you talk about that? Or
Hell yeah, I'll talk about that.
about
There's a cat named Apollo Fontaine.
That's my guy. Shout out. I don't talk about the government name, but shout out to Apollo. Yeah, that's
Apollo
my guy.
Fontaine, aka Hologram Chakra. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say they're the same guy.
I was about to say, I don't think you're allowed to tell him that it's the same guy.
Shouts out Apollo.
Shout out that guy.
So Apollo Fontaine, man, he's been one of those cats that's been around for a long time in Sydney, but is always behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He's always been, I guess, he's worked with other artists like The Goods.
Yeah.
So The Goods was like the crew or that group that you saw at the Passage back in the day, playing
back
live
in the day.
performances.
It's crazy.
Shouts out Jarrell, shouts out Ross. Those guys are killing it on a different kind of funk kind of sphere. You know what I mean? So Tim's always been Hologram Chakra. Apollo Fontaine's been around since those days, and he's been back and forth from here. He's one of those world guys.
He's a world dude.
He's been in Dubai. He's been New York, London, and he's legitimately one of the most talented musicians I have ever met in my life.
Yeah.
The way he plays piano, the way he plays jazz piano, the improvisation is on some like crazy shit, bro. Like unbelievable. So every time I'm jamming with him, I'm learning. Yeah. So and he, he's rapping. His raps are unbelievable.
He's tight.
It's crazy. It's like that world sound. You know, like he's for the world. So I got a couple of tracks with him. I dropped it in the Saudi mix that I did recently, like last week.
Was it Tuesday?
Yes, it was Monday.
Monday, yeah. Shout out
Saudi, shouts out air horns. Shouts out my boy Jesse.
Yes, sir.
Ken Furr. Yeah,
CBR.
That's it, bro. That's it.
I need air horns. Damn it. That's the next thing. Okay, that's the next thing. We gotta get some air horns.
Like a whole panel of sound effects.
Yeah.
So yeah, got stuff with him. I do have some stuff. Well, like I've been working with Kabu, which is another.
Talk about him.
Kabu, man, he's the future, dude. I've met Kabu. It's a crazy story because he's like me, man. He's like a Filipino kid from from the suburbs.
Yeah.
And I was tight with another producer back in the day named Taku.
Yeah.
Taku's a homeboy from Perth, and he was one of the first artists to sign with Selection way back in the day, man.
Yeah.
And he had that really particular sound. He was signed to Future Classics, and
shout out them.
Shout out them, man. Yeah. Shout out them. So like Taku, obviously inspired me to do all the kind of things that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But this boy Kabu was always he was always around. He was a young cat too.
Yeah.
He was probably younger than you, bro.
Yeah.
And I know he works with guys like Zenny Wolf. I know he's on that kind of.
Shout out Zenny, man. He be grinding. I just came back from LA, New York with him.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's my guy.
He's a different beast altogether. That boy, man. So obviously Kabu, he's on that kind of club scene too. You know what I mean? And he's doing DJ gigs and whatnot. And then, I saw he did stuff for Majestic Casual. You know that YouTube channel?
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
And his remixes would pop up. I'm like, yo, this kid's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, crazy.
He's nice with it.
He's nice with it. And then, he just kept doing him, man. And I think he's signed with O'Donnell Street.
St. O'Donnell Street, yeah. I think are they just management?
Yeah, management.
They're just
and
management,
they do parties and stuff like that. So he's done some stuff with them. And he's like you boys. He's just wanting to learn. He wants to grow. You know what I mean? Grinding. So he's always hanging out. He's asking for advice. He's doing the whole rollout thing, man. Oh, what do I do with my merch? What do I do with my, like asking. And I appreciate that, man, because he listens. You know what I mean? So hopefully doing a project with him. But yeah, man, all these different artists, like.
That would be sick if he did a project with him.
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's always like that, man. We almost look alike. You know what I mean? It's like
yes, sir.
He's a homie.
Yeah.
Another artist that I'm messing around with is Jazz Nobody from Planet Vegeta. He's the man. He's the rapper from Planet Vegeta. Have you know Planet Vegeta?
I know Planet. I like the
they did a Georgia track.
What's the fucking song that they got? My brother or but anyways, but continue.
But yeah, he's again one of my favorite rappers from Sydney. In fact, one of my favorite rappers in Australia. Jazz Nobody. Hopefully we'll link up with him. There's another
they're from out west, yeah?
Yeah.
Definitely Out West. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely I know.
I think they had a studio space in Marrickville, but I think that, you know, because of COVID, things, you know,
Changed up.
But they're doing some big things, man. They're
Yeah.
doing some big things. They're talented guys. There's another singer vocalist. His name's Peter from West too. Unbelievable. I think he goes by He's Peter. Oh man, when you hear this guy sing, oof, like next level.
He's
stuff.
nice with it. Yeah.
Nice with it. And then I'm doing like so. Let's say last year, 2 years ago, I've been messing around with a band called End Notes. They used to have a residency down at Cake Wines in Redfern.
Yeah, no, Cake Wines.
And they were doing like a lot of like jazz.
I saw you
covers.
Who you playing? Were you playing
Yeah,
live
I
at
play
Cake?
with
Yeah,
them.
you play with them. Okay,
yeah. So I'm on that kind of like DJ / sound effects / percussionist kind of vibe. On that Stro Elliott vibe with the Roots, with them. So they're, you know, hopefully kind of keep jamming with those guys, and they want to release some music, and that's some next level stuff, man. So yeah, that's the kind of things that I'm trying to work out. You know, what I mean? Trying to balance out, and it's one of those things where if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it's cool. You know, the timing's not right sometimes, and you just kind of like have to keep going.
Keep going, yeah. Because sometimes it's just timing. It's not anyone's fault.
Don't ever get down. It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not everyone's fault. Don't ever point the fingers at anyone. If things happen, it just happens. You know what I mean? So,
So, Kate, can I ask you a question?
Man, you've been asking me all questions. All good. Yeah, keep going.
If you could give the 18-year-old you advice, what would it be?
Drink water.
Damn, man.
18-year-old me advice. Not to worry about what other people think. 100%.
Do you think that there's something that you had to learn over time, or why were you so concerned about that when?
I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, man, with like Instagram, and it's easy to become like a keyboard warrior or like, you know, Twitter fingers. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to become someone different to who you are online. I think if you stay to yourself and become genuine, man, like that is probably the best thing for you. You know what I mean? Like when you start thinking about what other people think of you, it's when you start moving away from yourself, because you start becoming, you know what I mean? Like that's you start becoming what you see in them, like what they see in you. I'm trying to mixing my words around, but that's how I kind of see it. You know what I mean? Like when you start thinking how you should dress to impress people, it's not you anymore, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like your individuality is gone. Yeah. Because you start thinking about what other people think about you. And it just goes about everything about your life. You know what I mean? Your creative things, you know what I mean? Like the way you work, you know, like who cares? Like as long as you do you and you're comfortable with yourself, like man, just love yourself, bro. Yeah. That's it. You know, like that people will see through all the bull crap. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
But look, Kase, I want to thank you for coming on.
Bro.
That album, I just want to say the album is dope.
Thank you so much,
That album captures a lot of things. It captures a lot of emotions, man. I think, and look, most importantly, man, I think you speak for a group of people, man. A group of people that are helpers, a group of people that are pushing the culture together, and that's why so many people gravitated to it. And I just even want to say for yourself, man, the work that you've been putting out this Sydney, a lot of people recognize it and see it, you know. And I think now a lot of it is just starting to come to fruition, and people are starting to see the fruits of your labor, man, because you know you've been consistent for such a long period of time.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. And like legit from the bottom of my heart, man, like I'm so proud of what you have accomplished as yourself. As a man. You know, coming from becoming like, you know what I mean? Like just seeing you as a 17-year-old, 16-year-old kid who used to come to the store to this. Yeah. Come on, man. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? Sometimes you always have to, like, that's what I say, man. You got to celebrate your wins. Celebrate your wins, man. You know, this is a win for you. This is a win for all of us. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to celebrate this like nothing else. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tino, man, thank you so much for having me, bro.
No worries, man.
Indigo, shouts out Indigo.
Shout out Indigo in the back.
Shout out Garrett. Shout out Cam.
Yeah, shout out everyone. Shout out the team. Shout out to Scott. Shout out Western Sydney.
That's it.
But yeah.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
DenofTruth.
Yes, sir.
You.